How's it going, everybody? Cartha here. Welcome back to Pokemon Freedom, and today we're going to be looking at the brand new dialogue system I have been working on these past few weeks and getting it up to scratch, because at the moment it's in its very early stages. So this one, unlike the last one, which if we can get access to the previous setup of it, used text files and was not very nice to use. It was, not user friendly at all, using all these little labely labels, which at the moment still work, which is pretty cool, but eventually I will have to work out a new way of changing the text color, would be the easiest way to put that. So you would have seen down here that I've got all these weird fancy icons. If you've never seen this before, I've currently put this project online for myself using Unity Colab, and it's just a nice reference for knowing what has been updated and doing all that sort of stuff. Anyway, to get started on this system, it currently uses a new thing called a dialog sequencer, which is just a window in Unity and comes with a fancy blue start node. And I can add in different nodes at the moment, just 3 of them, which so far that's all I have planned for. This one will change. It was placeholdered, and then I realized I don't actually need this one to be labeled what it is. So we have a chat node, event node, at the moment decision node, but we're just going to ignore that one for now. So our most basic node we'll be using all the time is a chat node, which, as the name suggests, we can type words in here and that'll be printed on the screen. We can add a reply, which is basically your choices, and this can just go forever. And we can also get rid of them. And we can also, which is the requirement of this system, connect the nodes together, and more than one node can be connected as so. And can just delete any node with the exception of the start node. If you keep right clicking, the UI at the back just gets removed, which is not particularly great. You would have noticed that I opened it from down here on the right click. That will eventually be removed. It's just more for me quick starting up, checking things and whatnot. Anywho, so little Mr. Umbreon here, my NPC, my test subject, he has the dialogue sequencer on here. He's also got all the old script, all the old dialogue stuff. This terrible thing that I will never ever use again. And you can see here, the dialogue sequencer has 2 buttons, an open and a save. Open does what the right click down here does, and we can see that he already has 2 chat nodes connected to a start node, and they will forever stay there so long as you click save. So I've added this one. If I just hit close and open it again, it'll be gone. And if I grab chat node connected, I don't have to connect it to save it. Just to prove a point, we'll throw that up there. If I click save, you can close this, open it up again, and they have been saved. Just delete those, because that'll probably cause problems later. Anyway, let's get into the code. And a fair warning, I'm not going over everything. I'm just going to glance through things here. We'll come back to our text box manager later, as well as our question manager. I need to... I did a thing. I got rid of something. Anyway, so the nodes run off a structure system, because words have escaped me at the moment. But they all... What's the word? They all are parented, have a base class. There we go. Have a base class of base node, which is deriving from a scriptable object, which just means that it can be placed on objects. It can be made into something, or down here. I don't have that set up. I don't need that for the node system directly. But they describe from mainly scriptable object or mono behavior, usually / editors and whatnot. So they've all got all these just basic information. I've also set up my own color scheme, sort of, with the black background and just the blue nodes, just to get rid of this gray color. I'm gonna get rid of that. Anyway, each node just has a function called draw node window. When they're deleted, and updating positions inside, which is mainly for setting the output position if I need to update that. If we add, it's more for the event node, I think, or decision node it would have been. It would change the location of this output, but that's not completely set up yet, so we won't worry about that. So we have start node here, which just needs its start node text and able to draw. Chat node requiring the text in the text box and a list of replies or possible replies, and just does a whole bunch of stuff. I will probably eventually maybe make a tutorial on these, which would be good. Event node we will skip over because it's very complicated using object field stuff and a whole bunch of what's it called? Reflection. That's high level stuff. Getting this one not too deep into it, but it can get very, very touchy, very finicky. Using binding flags, we'll just leave that alone. But if I show you what that does, we just add an event node. We can grab any object. We'll grab player. Throw that in there, and it gives us. Well, for me, I've had to make my own little thing for this, but gives all the components attached to the player, except for the game object, which I haven't re-added yet, and it gives a bunch of public functions that can be eventually to be called, which is real fancy. It works similar to I've got a test script here to Unity's onEvent or onClick functions. Usually they're on buttons. If we just click down here, yeah, usually for the GUI stuff on buttons and whatnot. So mine looks slightly different because I have all these extra stuff, especially in the transforms, whatnot, but that's fine. A little bit of tweaking is needed, but it's fine. So that's that decision node, not much in that. Getting into the big boys, I suppose, have the inspector editor for the dialog sequencer, the one with the two buttons, which are there and there. Save basically grabs the nodes from the window, which we'll go into, and just stores them in this script that the editor is connected to, or more or less the script that is on the game object. If I were to go up here into debug, so just click the little arrow down next to the 3 lines, you can see that there's a whole bunch of other stuff here, which is the start chat and the chat nodes. We shall close that back up. And then the window, which has a lot of stuff in it. So we're not going to go into too much depth with this. Again, if you really want to know something, you can probably pause the video and check it. But again, I'll probably make a tutorial on this stuff at some stage. Anywho, to the main point of today, I have a question manager, which needs to be imported and merged into the text box manager. Now I know what was closed. Let me grab that back. Dialog sequencer. If you didn't know, you can push F12 over something and it will open to it. So I've already gone through the text box manager and commented out a lot of the stuff that's not required anymore. The stuff that was using all the text stuff. Or the text stuff, the text file things. So we're just going to be removing all of that, but not quite yet. What I first want to do is merge these two scripts together. So I'm just going to quickly do that, and I will be back. Alright, so with the exception of the actual functions update and the disease ones, has gone and merged those together. So let's just close off that. I've literally just thrown them in here. That may cause problems for us. Jump over here, we'll just see what happens. I do have a lot of warnings. I will eventually be going through those to clear all them up, but I don't, as far as I can tell, don't think anything. Okay, yeah, dialogue stuff got a bunch of empty things, but that's fine. So we should really be good with that. So I got a little list here for me to sort of be following. And I figured, once we go into the dialogue sequencer, so this is the other thing I had to talk about, was going to talk about. This is, obviously this little thing, it also needs some form of collision detector to work out whether or not you can actually activate things or not, which will also be handled through the dialogue or the system itself. That's what this decision node is eventually going to be a trigger node, and just requires certain things to happen before allowing things to progress, essentially. The event node does a similar thing, but that's more of activating stuff. Probably should have mentioned that before, but I shall say that now. So the dialog sequence is going to be controlling all the input, with the exception of the input for getting what question you're selecting. I'm going to leave that in here because it kind of just makes more sense. And also, I wanted the text box manager or text manager just to control the text stuff, not all the higgledy-piggledy stuff that was also in here. So cleaning needs to be done, but that will be fine. So once you are inside your collision, I actually might as well just show you. It still works the same, provided that I didn't break anything by merging stuff then. So we walk in here, click the button, text shows up on screen. We can also skip it, and it'll just print out to the next line. I had that in before, so that's all working well. And as I said earlier, the colors and whatnot are still working, which is just fantastic. So the one thing I wanted to add to this was the ability for dragging in the questions. So from the chat node, we have in here a list of replies. I think this might be better off of me doing this not on screen, but we shall see how it goes. We're also dragging along in time a little bit. So the enable text box, that's not the one I wanted actually. I want the text scroll. So here I also want to add in the replies, which is just a list of strings, which we're just going to add in there. Replies. Ooh, you don't like that, do you? Because you probably don't have. You do have collections. What's your problem? Let me try list. No, it's not there. Why is it not there? Collections. Oh, okay, right. Collections. .generic is what I was after, not just collections. There we go. That'll fix that. I shouldn't hit save because now I don't know exactly where that was. Right. So what I preferably want to happen is I want to go through all of the text, and then, which we'll do here. So if replies dot count, so that's just how many there are, is greater than 0. Basically, now we want to do this again, but I already have a function for that, which just needs to be tweaked, which I put all the way down here because I am a smart person, is setting box size, I believe, or set answers. Yeah, set answers is the one I want. String answer list. So this needs to be changed because they're being separated. It needs to be brought in as a list. This will be fun because trying to work out how this all works and changing it will not be that great. So instead, I am going to work that out, and I will be back once I have. So it turns out the change is actually really easy because set answers and there's also this function here, set next line from answer, don't need to exist. So all I have to do is change, what did I do? It somehow got that to be a thing. Okay, I don't know what I did to do that. We just need set box to take in our answer or our replies. I'm going to change that to replies just to keep consistent in here and also I know what's going on. So responses, shoot up to the top. I'm going to get rid of that because we don't need that anymore. It's going to be angry at me. And no, this also needs to change to the other function, which was set box size, which again, I'll probably change that. Where's your problem? Why you know like that? Because I can't spell apparently. There we go. We don't need either of those. That's just a whole bunch of nothing. We could say goodbye to that. Also say goodbye to that because that was just splitting up the answers essentially. So probably we need to keep that. Active selection needs to stay. This is turning our question window on. Do I have a thing to turn that off? I think that might be in set active. Is that in here? It is in here. Okay, cool. We're all good then. So just need to change that to replies. And we're basically done. Except for the fact that that number of answers also needs to change. This wants to be replies.length. Not length, count. So there we go. And we can change that for all of those as well. As far as I'm aware that that's working. So we scoot on back up to the replies here. That's fine. So that'll only activate if there's at least one reply there, which really shouldn't exist. I should probably make this greater than 1. So if someone ever accidentally puts one reply in there, just cancel this out. But we'll be fine. So the other thing I was thinking that I would have to do is if we were to cancel this at any point, to be safer, I would probably want that to go down there. It shouldn't matter because this is just calling this function, which just prints the rest of the string or text to the screen. It just depends on the next end of this, I think. Or it starts from 0 and just rewrites all of it. But it all happens instantly. I was going to click and thought it probably better not. So once we do that, we can actually show our replies. That will work. And that'll probably freeze up. Anyway, if we go back into the dialog sequencer, this thing is going to have a fit at me, because it probably should. Display text. Where did I get that from? The display text, which I get set from grabbing our node, I'm pretty sure. If we get next a dialog, I set it in here. Yes, I do. So then we're going to do a similar thing in here. So then if, what did I call them? It's by checking the node, I believe. Which way do we need to add it? Private. I'm all over the place. I apologize. A list of strings. Or string. Because that's how that actually works. And we just want this to be our response. Response list. Should probably also equal that to a new list now rather than forgetting to do it later. So you're starting to fit at me, you're also having a fit at me. I don't want to do this here actually, I want to do that inside this if statement. So in here we then need to go if next chat node. This needs to be changed to current chat node actually, but I will leave it for the moment. Dot replies is greater than 0. Count. Basically similar to the other thing. Want our response list to equal those replies. That should work. Otherwise, we would want to actually equal new. That works a lot better. So I might as well just get rid of the new thing that I put up here because it's not required. Oh, actually, I'm gonna leave that there for safety's sake, even though I'm going to put a thing in here where this will just equal a new list. So it's not really needed up there, but it's fine. This is just to make sure that if this has got a response from a previous node, it doesn't keep those. Which actually I should probably do that in here anyway. So else do that as, well actually I can just, nope, better idea. We can clear the list. So if it does have something in there, it'll get rid of it. If not, it doesn't really matter. It's still technically, it'd be getting rid of nothing. So it'd be still setting it to back to 0. So that should actually be that response list. If we hand that in, do we dare give it a test? I think we should. I don't even know if the actual code is working, which will be interesting. Okay, yes, it is. No, it's not. And they won't make a difference for the moment. This is probably just going to straight up break because I haven't put in a what happens at the end if you select something. Text box manager, what is happening at the moment? It's going to try and go somewhere, I believe. That would be what this thing was supposed to do. Set next line. Right. So I'm going to have to do a fancy switch here to go back into here to keep tabs of like which node to go to next. But since that's not set up, I'm more curious. I'm going to save it again, whether or not it was saved. Just curious not to whether it shows up. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, we're in trouble. Hello. Yay. And that works. What happens if I click a button? It actually continues. Well, there we go. Fancy that. So the thing I have to do next, which I won't do now because we're going a bit over time here, a lot over time. Or getting near that. I haven't really got a timer set up, I'm just looking at the recording time. Is to have these connections come out of the responses. So if I were to have that chat node, this chat node, if I were to connect those, I would have to choose a spot here to connect it to. At the moment, yeah, they're just linking the nodes together. I'm pretty sure if I did that, it still chooses this one. Fairly certain. Or I could actually do this a quick cheaty way. But I won't, because I might end up breaking it. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much how this system's working at the moment. And the reason you can't delete the start node is because it needs to be there, otherwise the system doesn't work. It looks for this node, and then whatever will eventually be connected to it at first, it will start off with that. So if that were an event would fire immediately as this would be turned on. If it were to be a trigger, if I could just close that, it could be, a collision box. So as soon as you walk into that, the stuff would fire off again. Oh, interesting. You broke. Oh, okay, there's something there that I've missed. There you go. I'm gonna save that. See if that, yeah, interesting. Something I need to look into. Alright, it's not saving the node, but if it's the connection's not, it doesn't matter if the connection's there or not, it still thinks it's connected to something. Because of this node staying here, I can't believe I missed that. So if I do that, one of these, they both will probably stay there. Yep. Alright, I found a bug. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of this system, and also let me know if you would like to see a tutorial of either making the window itself and like the node stuff as well. They'd probably be separate tutorials, or a series of tutorials more or less. Yeah, again, let me know if you want to see those. And that is all for today. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to stick around, see some more. Next time, hopefully I will have some more on this done. And also hoping that is relatively soon, both for my sake and your sake, because this is all I can think about lately. Anyway, that's all, and I shall see you guys in the next episode. But until then, bye.